Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Darrow here with another Options and Play video update. We have a short week. Tomorrow the market's closed, so Friday the market's closed for the Good Friday holiday. And then when we get back next week, things are gonna really pick up very, very quick. So this was like the kickoff to earnings this week, and then next week is when things kind of kick into gear. One of the things, I mean, we'll definitely go over this when we get together on Monday for our option session. But one of the things starting to notice is that some of these companies reporting in these kind of well-defined trends, they're just not seeing as much volatility. All right, and it's not something unique to this quarter. This is something that we talk about pretty uniformly in like most earning seasons. Is that I really try to avoid stocks that are in consistent trends going into earnings because it's really hard to say what is priced in, and also, I mean, unless there's like a major surprise, just to me, I tend to assume that the trend is going to remain intact, right? So, two examples, kind of see what I mean. UNH, right? Stock has been great. I mean, the last like month and a half, it's just been steadily working higher highs, higher lows, right? Had a really large run into this print, and kind of makes sense. Healthcare is seeing flows. UNH has been, top name. It's also very consistently been a beat and raise machine quarter after quarter after quarter. So the stock woke up, went on a run. Great month and a half move. I mean, if you go back even further, all right, you can see that it's just been steadily walking higher in a really consistent uptrend. The problem is that with that uptrend, then the expectations get higher, and based off of their past performance of beat and raise, beat and raise, beat and raise, everybody was expecting good results, which they did have good results this morning, but the stock had a quick pop, and now it's come back and is indicating kind of flat, and it's going to finish like relatively flat. And people are wondering why I didn't get paid. Well, it's because it was in a consistent trend. Everybody was expecting a good number. They had a good number. The stock had a big run ahead of earnings, right? So you have to say that good news was somewhat priced in, right? It wasn't enough to change the uptrend, and I'm going to assume that it's going to remain in the uptrend as long as like the 8 EMA holds and it keeps showing the same type of pattern, right? Um, Totally different chart, but kind of like the same thinking, right? Goldman Sachs basically been in like a steady downtrend year to date. Last quarter was not good. The stock has been very weak, right? Consistently lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, and whereas expectations were pretty low and Goldman Sachs ended up beating, it still kind of was met with like the same fate as UNH, right? Is that the numbers weren't as bad as feared, but they also weren't good enough to break the trend. So the stock remains in the trend. Had a very muted response now. It seems like it's going to close around the unchanged mark, right? So the trend remains intact. The numbers weren't enough to change that trend. So I'm going to view this as a name that remains in a trend. And what do you do with a trending name? You expect continuation in the direction of the trend, right? So to me, it's not whether it's like an uptrend or a downtrend. It's just the trend in general. Like those are the setups that I don't really like for earnings because it's hard to say what's priced in, and it's also generally something that I'm expecting lower volatility, like that type of setup. So UNH, Goldman Sachs, two names that came to mind because they kind of like kind of highlight the reason why I tend to avoid trending names. But again, I mean, if there's like a crazy big surprise, like on the upside or the downside, the stocks can break the trend and then you get big movement. But generally, I'm looking at that setup as one for like lower volatility, and something that I prefer to just wait out, and see what they say, and maybe evaluate the following day. All right. Um, but again, I mean, there's plenty of setups that aren't trending, and there's plenty of good setups for next week. So I'm expecting a busy week. All right. So if you like this video and you're looking for more information about trading events or trading earnings with options, please follow up with the link in the description of the video for more information on options to play. Have a wonderful long weekend. Happy Easter to those celebrating. If you're traveling, have a safe trip. And I will talk to you all on Monday.